Hi guys, welcome to Ansel Sony Lectures. So in this video we are going to discuss about two data types that are primitive and non-primitive data type. Okay, so there are basically two data types that are primitive and non-primitive data types. Now we will discuss the definition of both of these, then we will come back to this diagram. Okay, so let us first discuss about primitive data types. Okay, so what do you think, what are primitive data types? See, primitive data types, if we say in simple language, that are unbreakable. Okay, in Java, they are predefined by the Java language and named as reserved keywords. Now see, what does unbreakable means? Means no further division is possible for the primitive data types. Okay, there are 8 primitive data types in Java that are boolean data type, byte data type, int, long, float, double, char and short. Right, these are the data types. So let us first discuss about these data types. I hope first of all the definition of primitive would be clear to you. That is that these are unbreakable. These are the simplest form, like integer. One int is equal to, like, int a is equals to 5. Can you break this further? No, you can't break this further. So it is a primitive data type. I hope the things are clear to you. Okay, now it represents integer which are whole number without the fractional part. Okay, these are whole numbers like 5, 2, like this. Okay, now double. What is double? Double means there are a decimal numbers like 2.46, right? So these are decimal numbers. Now char means these are the characters, like char is equals to a is a char, right? So these are the characters. I hope the things are clear to you. Then boolean. Boolean means the answer would be in true or false. Okay, these are the types of primitive data types that we are discussing. Okay, now see, byte. What byte represents? It represents an 8-bit sign to complement integer. And short represents 16-bit sign to complement integer. And what does long represent? Long represent that when there is a bigger integer value, a long value. Okay, then float. What does float represent? It also represents the decimal values, right? Okay, now see, it is 32-bit float point numbers. Okay, so this is, now what is the difference between float and decimal? There must be a caution in your mind. Okay, float has less precision value, like there are not enough points, okay, than decimals. Like a decimal can have a lot of digits after point, right? But a float cannot have a lot of precision values. I hope the things are clear to you. There are less precision values than decimals. Okay, now see, what are non-primitive data types? Non-primitive data types are breakable. Okay, suppose there is array is there, so you have store 5, 4, 6, so these are breakable, right? So these are breakable, you can say, if you are thinking on the opposite hand of a primitive data type. Okay, so non-primitive data types are used to call methods to perform certain operations, right? These are used to call methods, while primitive types can't call methods. Okay, this would be more clearer to you when you will when I will discuss about call by reference and call by value. Okay, at that point you will have more understanding about this point. Okay, so okay, next, the primitive data types are predefined in Java, but non-primitive data types are created by the programmers, okay, are not defined by Java except for the string. Okay, so let us go towards the diagram. See, here the primitive data types, they have said it is defined by Java, but it is not defined by Java. There are two types of non-primitive data type, that are linear and non-linear. In linear, there are static and dynamic. Static includes array and dynamic includes linked list, stack, okay, and queue. Now see, these are breakable, you can see, but in primitive data type you can't break int, you can't break boolean, right? So these are unbreakable, simplest form. It can store only one kind of data, but it can store multiple type of data. I hope you can create difference between both of these now. Okay, so now let us discuss the difference between both of them. Okay, now see, primitive data type. Primitive data type is a kind of data that stores only one kind of data. As I have discussed earlier, like int. There is only one kind of data. But non-primitive data type is a type that can store the data of more than one type. Right? Here, more than one type can be stored. See, here the primitive data type like integer, character, float, these are a one kind of data. Like character is this, you can't break this. Okay, but here non-primitive data type, there are arrays, linked list, stack, right? A number of values can be stored over here, like in the stack A, 1, B, 2, right? Like this. Okay, and more than one data structure we can store. I hope the things are clear to you. Okay, primitive data type will contain some value. It cannot be null. Primitive data type cannot be null, but non-primitive data type can be null. Okay. Okay, now primitive data types depends upon the size of data structure. Okay, primitive data type depends upon the size of data structure, but in non-primitive data type, the size is not the concern. Okay, the size is not fixed. Okay, it is dynamic. Okay, now it starts with lowercase, like char. It starts with lowercase. Okay, and it starts with uppercase. I hope the things are clear to you, like array. So A is capital, like this. Primitive data type can be used to call methods, but this cannot be used to call methods. Okay, non-primitive data type. Okay, if the examiner or interviewer will ask you what is the difference between primitive and non-primitive data type, what you will say that primitive data types are the simplest form of data types that contains only a single type of data. For example, there are 8 primitive data types. Some of them are integer, character, float, boolean, char, like this. And non-primitive data types are that which can store more than one kind of data. Okay, and some example of non-primitive data type are linked list, stack. The the primitive data type may contain a null value, but non-primitive data type will not contain a null value. The examiner would be happier with your question. Okay, and the next question the examiner would ask that what is called by reference and what is called by value. So that I'll discuss in my next video. So please stay connected, and thanks a lot for watching.